So we have small area which is left in this share capital chapter. So once we are done with the share capital chapter, we will move to the important area, allotment procedure. Very important area, this allotment procedure, followed by membership, which is a very small area, small and a very easy area, membership. If we are done with this, then we have only some few areas, out of which meetings is a very big area. So once we have completed membership, then we will move to this area, meetings. Meetings is a big area. It will take somewhere around 2 classes at least, 2 to 2.5 classes meetings will take. Then you have charges, debentures, which can be completed in one class. Both these things put together can be completed in one class. Then you have transfer transmission, which will take not more than 1 to 1.5 hours. Then you have prospectus, which will take somewhere around 2 to 2.5 hours. So this will take some 2 class, this will take some 1 class, this along with all the other miscellaneous area may take some 2.5 classes apart from today's class. So this is all about this Companies Act. Then of course we have EPF Act, we have ethics, we have communication. Ethics and communication put together, there are some 12 to 14 chapters, out of which we have this drafting area, which we will be covering as and when we cover some particular topics in meetings. So all put together, this ethics and communication may not take more than 12 hours. EPF will take some 2 to 2.5 hours. So this is the position where we stand. So don't think too many chapters are left in the Companies Act. Though it appears that too many chapters are left in the Companies Act, many of the chapters they take only very less time. If you look at this transfer, prospectus, miscellaneous, all these things will take very less time. Once we are done with this membership and once we are done with this meeting, we can take that 75 to 80% of the Companies Act is over. So let me proceed for today's discussion. We'll start with the term underwriting brokerage. So we all know underwriting. What is an underwriting? Where one party he undertakes to subscribe to the shares of the company. In the event of the public failing to subscribe to the shares of the company, you call this as an underwriting. So what is the remuneration for an underwriter? Remuneration for an underwriter is in the nature of a commission. But this remuneration will not be paid for the actual shares which he has subscribed, but it will be paid for the risk which he has undertaken. For example, a person he is underwriting 90% of the issued capital. A person he is underwriting 90% of the issued capital. Entire capital, 100% of the issued capital was subscribed by the public, which means there was no requirement for the underwriter to take even one share. Now whether any commission will be paid to the underwriter or no commission will be paid to the underwriter, the agreed commission must be paid to the underwriter, because underwriter commission is not paid for the shares which he is taking. Underwriter the commission is paid for the risk which he is taking, right? Then you need to enter into contract with an underwriter and you can pay some commission to the underwriter. What is the maximum percentage of commission? Maximum percentage of commission is not given under Companies Act, it is given under the SEBI rules and regulations. So maximum how much I can pay as underwriting commission, if it is going to be shares, it can be 5% or the articles of association rate, whichever is less. This is a very frequently tested question. So what is the maximum rate which can be paid to underwriter? It is 5% or the articles of association rate, whichever is less. If it is going to be debentures, it can be 2.5% or the rate which is mentioned in the articles of association, whichever is less. In contrast to this underwriting, we have another concept called as brokerage. We have another concept called as brokerage. Is it lawful to have a broker when you are going for a public issue? when you go for a public issue, you are making an issue to the public at large. Public, they are seeing this document called as prospectus. They start making an application to the company. Is it rightful to have a broker? Is it correct to have a broker? You need to understand, it is 100% possible, it is 100% legal to have a broker. Now for a broker, what should be the remuneration? The remuneration which is payable to the broker is called as brokerage. The remuneration payable to the broker is called as brokerage. Now what is the difference between a brokerage and this underwriting? See, listen. What is the difference between brokerage and underwriting? Difference between brokerage and underwriting is, brokerage will be paid only for the shares for which he has got the client. Listen. Broker, for example, Mr. Prasanna Venkatesh is appointed as a broker. Right. He is appointed as a broker. For what he is appointed as a broker? For the issue of these shares, he is appointed as a broker. Now, what is the remuneration which is payable to Prasanna Venkatesh? The remuneration which is payable to Prasanna Venkatesh is brokerage, correct? Now, this brokerage, in what proportion or in what percentage it will be paid? Some percentage brokerage will be fixed. Anal, this percentage of brokerage will be only for the number of shares for which he has got the client. If he has referred some clients and they have subscribed for 2,500 shares, now brokerage is payable only to the extent of this 2,500 shares. Difference between an underwriting and in the case of a broker is, a broker have got no obligation to bring in the required amount of shares. But an underwriter, he is having an obligation to bring in the required percentage of shares. Response, friends. If I am a broker, if I bring some percent, then I am eligible for the brokerage. If I am not going to bring any percent, then I am not eligible for a brokerage. But as far as an underwriter is concerned, an underwriter has got no choice. An underwriter has got no choice. He cannot say, if I want, I will bring in minimum subscription or I will not bring in the minimum subscription. Underwriter, he doesn't have this choice. This is the difference between a brokerage and an underwriting. Are you all with me? Yes, good morning, friends. Good morning, sir. Are you all with me? Yes, so, what is the difference between brokerage and an underwriter? Underwriter, there is a compulsion. But as far as a brokerage, there is no compulsion. As far as a broker is concerned, there is no compulsion. This is the thin line of difference between an underwriter and a broker. Simple as broker ke kaila kasu. So if he brings some clients, if he refers some clients, then he is eligible for brokerage. Underwriter ke, he is always having an obligation to bring in the additional capital if it is not subscribed by the public. Right. So take the relevant page. Page number 52. Right. Underwriting. It is a contract between the silence. Underwriting. It is a contract between the company and the underwriters, where in case the whole or agreed portion of the shares or debentures are not applied for, the underwriters will themselves apply for the unapplied shares or debentures. This is a commitment by the underwriter, who normally is a financially sound person and is registered with the SEBI. Consideration is in the form of commission, irrespective of whether or not the underwriters are called upon to take up the shares or debentures. Consideration is for the risk which they expose themselves to and not for the actual shares which they are subscribing to. Right. Underwriting commission may be paid subject to the following conditions. Number one, the payment of the commission must be authorized by the Articles of Association. Name and address of the underwriters and the number of shares or debentures underwritten by each of them must be disclosed in the prospectus. The amount of commission should not exceed, in the case of shares, 5% of the price at which the shares have been issued, or the amount or rate authorized by the articles whichever is less. And in the case of debentures, it shall not exceed 2.5%. The rate must be disclosed in the prospectus or in the statement in lieu of prospectus and should be filed with the ROC along with a copy of the underwriting contract before the payment of the commission. The number of shares or debentures which persons have agreed to subscribe absolutely or conditionally for commission must be disclosed in the manner aforesaid, and a copy of the contract for the payment of the commission must be delivered to the registrar along with the prospectus or in the statement of lieu of prospectus. Brokerage is a fee which is paid for placing a share. Payment of brokerage is lawful. I will come to point number 3 later. I will come to point number 2. Brokerage is different from underwriting commission. In the case of underwriting, if the shares are not subscribed, the underwriter is bound to take the shares, whereas there is no such obligation for a broker. A broker may take the shares or he may not take the shares. Underwriter shall take the shares. This is a contrasting difference between an underwriter and a broker. Following. Generally, who will carry on this underwriting work? They are persons who are registered with the SEBI. At final level, you will learn all these things. Who is a syndicate member? Who is an underwriter? You will learn all those things at final level. As of now, you need to understand, underwriter means any person cannot declare himself as underwriter. He must be a person who is registered with the SEBI. Next, as far as a broker is concerned, generally what happens, there are certain houses called as issue houses. These issue houses will have contacts with a large number of investors. So now what will happen? The company will enter into a contract with the issue house. You bring so much of clients, for you so much of brokerage. Now in proportion to the number of clients which the issue house is bringing, the issue house is eligible for a brokerage. This is what you call as an underwriting and a brokerage.